I've always thought that calling a piece of grammar the present perfect is a little inaccurate. It's difficult for students to learn if they don't have this piece of grammar in their own language, and if your students do have this piece of grammar, for example, my German students, and they use it in different ways, it can be pretty difficult to grasp. It can be quite imperfect, so to say. So let's have a look at the present perfect, what it is, how we can recognize it, and why do we need it? It's a very good question. We take it for granted in English. So before I go on, let's have a look at what the present perfect is. What have you done today? Have you been to the supermarket? How long have you lived in your house? These are examples of the present perfect. On the next few slides, I'll pop up some more examples, and then we'll come back to our questions that we need to answer in this lecture. Okay, so now you've got an idea or a better idea of what the present perfect looks like in questions, in answers, and also in negative sentences. Essentially, what we're looking for is the word have or has, and then a verb in that third form. And harking back to one of the previous lectures, that verb could be regular or irregular. If you need a quick brush up on that, have a wee look at the previous lecture, or you can also have a look at the downloadable resource I've got for you here, which is a simple table outlining our most commonly used irregular verbs. There are many website resources also available on this, and I've compiled a little list for you also in the downloadable section, just there to your right. And all of the websites I've included are free to use, and you don't need to log in or provide any details. So I hope they're useful for you. So, present perfect. When I first started teaching this particular nutty piece of grammar, I didn't really have a good grasp on how to represent it and how to explain it. But more recently, I've come up with the idea of a funnel. The top of the funnel is wide and it's open, and we could consider this to be our lives, the entire length of our lives, which have started but which have not yet ended. It's in this realm where time is not important. However, the action or activity or result is important. This is where present perfect comes in. When we go down to the bottom of the funnel, we can think of that as the specific area where we can ask specific questions or seek specific dated information. And this is where our past simple will come into it. No need to worry too much about the past simple now, because that will come up in a future lecture. So let's just consider this concept of your entire life or someone else's entire life. What have you done? Where have you been? What have you seen? What have you eaten? What have you visited in your whole entire life? You'll see on the slide another representation of this, just to get it in your head. And following those slides, we're going to have a look at some more examples of how we can use this. At the very end of those particular slides, we're going to then come back, have a quick chat, and then start to hone in on this funnel effect. So just for now, sit back, relax, and have a look at some examples of our length of time and space questions and sentences. See you in a sec. All right, so you've seen examples of our funnel effect. Now let's hone down. Let's take the example question of where have you been for your holidays? This is in your entire life. So my possible answers could be, I have been to Greece for my holidays. I've been to Norway, to Russia, to America. I've seen the Washington Monument. I've seen North Cape. I've seen Big Ben. Well, actually not really, because we all know, of course, that Big Ben isn't the tower or the clock. Big Ben's the bell, right? Well, I just learned that recently. I'm just sharing some knowledge. So anyway, I've seen... Gosh, what have I seen? Oh, I've seen the Blarney Stone, and so on and so forth. Now, at this point, you know things I've seen in my life, but what you don't know is when I saw them. And so we go sliding down the funnel to our past simple. When did you see them? When did you visit the Blarney Stone? Did you kiss it? Did you meet some lovely people in Ireland? When did you last visit Washington, D.C. to see the Washington Monument? And here we go, diving into the past simple, and we'll look at this a bit closer. But just so you have it in the back of your mind, let's consider present perfect to be open and past simple to be closed. All right, in the following lectures, we're going to be looking at how we can introduce this grammar to our students and how it looks like in a bit more detail when we form it. I'll see you in a minute.